from G4 Geomatic Resource in Houston. Today we do a quick update on Texas Smartnet as of April 2022. There's been some exciting changes that can help improve our productivity in the field. So we'll talk about what's happened and what we can do to incorporate those changes to help us be more productive. First of all, just to summarize Smartnet, if you're running a Leica receiver, we do an Imax correction. Imax is GNSS network correction. The neat thing about it is we have traceability to the master, use mobile base stations to compute network corrections off the master auxiliaries, and that helps increase our accuracy. So once again, in the schematic, the Imax, there's traceability, so you know what base station you're tied into. You have metadata that's available on the portal. If you compare it to a VRS, the VRS is a virtual base station, so there's no traceability. So that's one big difference between the two. And it can incorporate all the full GNSS compatibility. That's what we'll talk about today. Okay. So once again, with here's a schematic just showing the number of satellites and how over the years, as more satellites are being released, just how the numbers are increasing. And we'll talk about just how that's incorporated in Smartnet and in Spider and in the corrections that we're receiving off the network correction. And once again, the more science we have, the more productivity, and we can push the boundaries to get shots we couldn't get before with our RTK rovers. Okay. So once again, if we go to Houston, do a pre-planning of GPS, the US system, we can track anywhere from 6 to 10 satellites. And once again, these are L1, L2. There's a third surveilling frequency, L5. This is really important. The L5 signal will help track in tougher environments. So roughly 24 to 31 active satellites have L5. So if we're looking at the schematic here, roughly 2/3 of this bar chart would be L5. Once again, we have the Russians, which is GLONASS. They just have dual frequencies. So once again, we track from 5 to 9 satellites at any point in time. And Galileo, once again, it's the Europeans, and we can track anywhere from 4 to 9 satellites. The interesting thing about Galileo is they have 4 frequencies. Their old BOC is their version of L5. So it's really great augmentation for triple frequency to have old BOC and L5 will help us track closer to trees. And it also, the triple frequency will help extend our accuracy and hold our accuracy at longer baseline distances off the network. So that's critical. And Beidou is a Chinese, so we can see anywhere from 2 up to 6 at any time. And they have triple frequency. So before, the Imax solution wasn't incorporating the B2, B3. And this is one of the big changes is the triple frequency is now being incorporated in the Imax solution using the Chinese. So once again, when we have an RTK rover in the field, there's 2 key components. You have the RTK rover itself, and the network it's working off of. So let's take a look at the network. We'll take a look at Smartnet. Once again, all the bases will have a choke ring antenna to reduce multipath. And the big change is they've updated a bunch of the base stations to the GR30, and this allows the triple frequency tracking on Beidou. So once again, your rover is only as good as the base station. So we have a bunch of our clients that when they work off the TxDOT network, the TxDOT VRS is just GPS and GLONASS, and they'll ask, you know, how come we lost our Galileo? And that's because that network is just not pumping out that correction, okay? So if the base station is not tracking Galileo or Beidou, then the rover can't incorporate those, and it basically restricts your performance on the rover. So let's talk more about what happened to Smartnet over the last couple of months. So before, if I was running an MSN Imax or an Imax correction, previously to April of this year, the Beidou were not incorporating the Imax network solution. So we took our rover out, dialed in, used the Imax correction, our CQ's quality came down, and here's a screenshot. And it just shows that at this point in time, we're tracking the B1, B2, B3, and at that point it's tracking 9 of them, and it's also incorporating the old BOC, which is triple frequency for Galileo, and here the L5 is the triple frequency for GPS. So you can click on your satellite icon, go to Beidou, and see that once again it's tracking and using the B1, B2, B3. If it wasn't using it, there'd be a bracket around the B3. So that's a big change, is we're now incorporating the Beidou satellites in the Imax. So adding those extra satellites can help us track in places and get better performance with our rover. So once again, here's just a schematic. They've updated the base stations in San Antonio, Austin, and Dallas. I just took a quick shot of Houston. So there's still a few more base stations that the ones in purple are the GR30s, and the ones in red are GR10s that still need to be updated. So there's still some work to be done. But most of it has been updated, and we should see an increase in performance due to this. Okay. So I just want to thank Wendy Watson and her team, Tyler Collier, for all the work that they've done. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. So thanks to them and their team for helping us put all this together. And these should help improve our performance in the field. So once again, it's just a good analogy to push the boundaries with these small, actually big changes, but we'll see improvement in the field to push the boundaries to get shots we couldn't get before. Once again, if it's solid trees, we're not going to be able to get in there, but hopefully this should incorporate and improve our production or ability to get shots in tougher spots by 5 or 10%. Okay. The second key component is your RTK rover. So once again, we have a RTK rover working off the network. Let's talk about new changes on the rover side. So it's really important. They came out with a version of firmware 6.5 on Captivate, and this has a multipath reduction. And what this does is it helps improve tracking next to trees by around 10%. Okay, and we just have a setting here that we just check the box for multipath reduction. And what that will do is it'll thrust out or ignore satellites behind trees that are noisy. Because the key thing that we want to do is make sure that when we take a shot, it's at 3 sigma and it's 99.99% accurate. But with the testing that we've seen is we have seen improvement next to tougher environments like trees with the multipath reduction. Okay, so it's important to have your rover updated to at least 6.5 to take advantage of this tracking feature. Once again, Leica's got a patent on Smart Check. And what this does is every time we initialize, you'll see some check marks come up, and that means it's got initialization, and it's at 3 sigma. So it's constantly checking, and it's at 99.99%. All right, so it's 3 sigma, it's the best in the market. And the key thing here is we want to push the boundaries, we want to work in trees, but we want to make sure that our points that we shoot in are correct. So Leica will err on the side of caution and make sure that we're 99.99% before we give that fix. And we'll just show some test results of another brand just to show how this works out. So all the rovers from the GS07, 14, 16, 18 to the GS10, all the rovers will have the Smart Check built in. And this went back to the Viva days and even 1200 days. So this has been around for many years. Okay, and the CQs, or quality control, would basically show the accuracy. So if there's bad weather coming in, the CQs will rise, and if you go next to trees, they'll rise up to show your true value of what you're seeing in the field. So once again, we did some testing last year, and this is just a picture of a tree, and here's the rover. So you can see it's pretty dense. And last year, without Beidou, we could not get this shot. We could get up to the edge of the curve here, and we had a 16 and an 18, and we could not get in here next to the tree to get that shot. So we just quickly went out there a couple days ago, took the rover, set it up, and just got the shot, no problem. So we're going to do some more testing, some more detailed testing, but we just saw an improvement with the Beidou tracking almost immediately in this environment. So once again, in this test environment, we set up a TS16 and we set control points. We set 2 points with RTK, then set these hubs in the trees, because what we want to do is take these shots and then we'll shoot them in with RTK and see how the RTK solutions compare with the ground control. This is really important. So what we're doing is taking a look at when when we look at the CQ value, how accurate is this, and does it relate to ground control to see the repeatability and the reliability of our RTK solutions. So you can see it's pretty dense trees. This is just an aerial just to show this. This is the point here that we took a shot in. So we're actually underneath this tree, came in, and we're staking that control point out. And you can see here within 500s vertical and under 600s horizontal. Okay. Previously, we did testing with another brand. I kind of grayed out the brand. And what we want to do is just compare another rover to the GS18. And this is before we had the updates to Beidou. So we're going to redo this. Version 7 firmware should be released this coming May. And we'll probably redo this test. But the key thing here is we're talking about 99.99% reliability. So when we compare the two together, basically you see that I'll quickly summarize the total number of fixes. They're very similar in their number of temps and percentages. The other unit could get in the trees a little bit further, not much, than the Leica. But what you can see is all the shots that Leica took, all the fixes. So basically, there's like 100 shots, but basically there's 0 mishits on the Leica. Okay, so all the fixes in these tough environments, you can see in the previous screen, the treed with a bunch of control points in these trees. So it's very, very tough. And all the shots that were fixed, everyone with Leica was within the tolerance. Okay. There's a couple here. The other unit had 2 mishits, and one of them, was in 50 degree, roughly 50% tree coverage. The other was 75% tree coverage. And one of them was kind of significant, so it blew up the difference between the means on their comparison. So, I mean, it's hard to do a comparison, but roughly they had 2 out of 21 mishits, and it's hard to put a percentage. But the neat thing is just showing how Leica will err on the side of caution, and we're going to redo this test with the new Beidou, new Smartnet corrections, just to see how this compares. Okay, but it's just interesting just to show the repeatability and reliability of the Leica solution. So this is just, once again, we'll just show the video. We're in the trees here, and we're now fixed. And we're actually staking the point out. So we have that set control point, we're under heavy trees. It's maintaining a lock. Once again, last year, we were never able to get in this tree, so we're seeing an improvement already. When we're out there, and this is going to show here how many GPS, Russians, Europeans, and Chinese. That's what the G, R, E, and C stands for. And when we're working out there, the weather was not the best. We had like blustery winds, and that affects your performance on a network as well. Okay, so this just goes through the screens that we showed earlier, just to show the GPS, how many GPS L1, L2, L5, the Galileo's tracking 7 of 7, and once again, it's now incorporating the new Beidou or the Chinese. Okay, and that's what we really think made the difference, was having those extra Chinese satellites helped us maybe get a few more feet in to that area to get those shots. Okay, the neat thing is I can go to my current position and you can check under baseline. It'll tell you how far you are from the base station. So once again, we're 33,000 feet, good baseline length, and the CQs up there will reflect the accuracy of your baseline length and how far you are from the base station. Once again, we have the Multipath Reduction turned on, and that assisted us in getting shots along with the Beidou. So it's a combination of the network, Smartnet, and also the firmware on the controller as well. And once again, there's the Chinese satellites being shown. And you can see here, if I just back up a sec, it'll actually, we're tracking, there's 32 sites available. The Multipath Reduction is only using 17, so it's kicking out 15 satellites that are behind the trees because they're noisy. So the main concern here is to maintain accuracy of that shot throughout the noise and use the best satellites available to maintain the accuracy of your point. Okay. So once again, that's a smart check. There's the Beidou, and it's tracking the B1, B2. They hit more. There's the B3. Okay. All right. So that's just a quick overview of the new changes in Smartnet, incorporating Beidou. We'll do some more testing, but we just want to keep you posted on the changes. And hope you found the video helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. Here's all our contact information. Here's the G4 Geomatics Resources team in Houston. Myself, Jeff, John. I want to thank John for helping putting this video together, and Ronald and Celia in the office for service and GIS. If you have any questions, if you have any assistance, please feel free to reach out and give us a call. Thanks for your attention. Have a great day.